Hi, good afternoon. I am Mohammad Jarrahi from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, reporting on our ongoing research with Matt Lease from UT Austin and Saiph Savage from West Virginia University. This work in progress looks at the important relationship between crowd working and AI training. So AI systems are increasingly enabled by data that are labeled by humans. And what I mean by humans are crowd workers that engage in this type of work, microtasking, crowd working on online crowd working platforms. The work that is done in cheaper, faster, and in many cases easier ways for the requesters. So earlier studies of crowd working shows workers engage in crowd working as supplemental income. But increasingly, the research also evidenced that workers are looking at crowd working and microtasking as their primary source of income. Amazon Mechanical Turk is one of the earlier platform used for crowd working, and it increasingly shaped our understanding and expectation for crowdsourcing. If you look at Amazon Mechanical Turk, typically we've got two sides to the story. So there are workers that conduct the hits, human intelligence task, and we've got the requesters, those clients that outsource these tasks to crowd working platforms. And for that reason, Amazon Mechanical Turk can be understood as a labor platform for paid crowd work, or what we call microtasking. This is a work that is on demand. It can be done on a global scale 24/7, and it can be a source of flexibility for a lot of workers who increasingly look at this as their primary income. Another concept that is intertwined in Amazon Mechanical Turk and a number of other microtasking platforms is artificial intelligence. So using humans as computers to do small little tasks that cannot be done by AI. If you want to expand the important players in this ecosystem, particularly Amazon Mechanical Turk, we see there are three parties. So the crowd workers are those that produce the label data for AI systems. Requesters are typically companies or researchers that invoke this labor provided by taskers for these workers to train their AI systems. And then we've got the middleman, which is Amazon Mechanical Turk, in this case, the labor platform that broker the relationship between workers and the requesters, and it in many cases lowers the transaction cost for these parties. In many ways, these new platforms, these new forms of work can be understood as new sewing machines. Some researchers have called it that way. It provides a lot of opportunities and income for people. It provides social mobility for some of these people in a specific region of the world. But these platforms and these types of work also come with significant limitations. So two of these limitations that are actually interrelated is the quality of labeled data. In many cases, workers are not really reliable. The work that is delivered is not of the highest quality, and that results in less trust in microtasking and less work for these workers, and also less transaction for the platform itself. On the other side of the supply chain, sometimes the workers are not really getting the best of work experience on these platforms. Low wages is a really important problem in many forms of crowd working. And sometimes the low wages is not the only problem. The work that these workers actually perform is not really a form of meaningful work. It doesn't have opportunity for learning. It's just mundane tasks that these workers engage with. Another common problem on these platforms, particularly when you look at it from the perspective of the worker, is asymmetric relationship. Workers may not really understand how the platform works, how the basic algorithms manage their work. And for that reason, many researchers have called this type of work kind of ghost work. This is a really good book by Mary Gray and Sida Suri looking at microtasking and some of these platforms. a reflection of the precarious nature of microtasking and the work that goes behind the AR curtain, sometimes very invisible, sometimes with not the work that it does not provide much opportunity for learning, and invisible work that can be treated as cog in the machine. In response to these challenges, scholar and practitioner have created a suite of tools, technologies particularly for Amazon Mechanical Turk, what we call here a tooling movement. So a good example of these tools is Torkopticon, a tool that was developed by Lily Irani and her colleague as a form of browser plugin that helped workers to lower the information asymmetry that I mentioned earlier by being able to provided the opportunity to review and rate the requesters. That is not something that is immediately available on Amazon Mechanical Turk. And telling each other about how certain requesters actually perform on these platforms and the quality of the relationship with these people. The work of Saiph Savage, our colleague, is also an important contribution to the tooling movement. She has developed intelligent tools for workers to raise the transparency of their work, understanding what task contributes to their income, and then lowering the task, not engaging in tasks that are not really source of important income for them. Identifying tasks that can be sources of learning, and also tasks that can be a source of fair pay for these workers. So the tooling movement has been very useful, but it also comes with specific limitations that we are trying to address in our research, in our current thinking. So these tools are often focused on one specific type of problem, often the pay problem from the worker's perspective, when workers are not getting paid in fair ways. And in many cases, that really needs the interest, that really needs the input from the requesters. It cannot be just handled by the worker themselves. Another problem with the tooling movement is they focus on one, as I noted, one specific party in this game. So it's not quite clear what other parties, what other important stakeholders can take away from these tools. And in many cases, these solutions are delivered in a piecemeal manner. So our research is a little bit different because we take an ecosystemic perspective. We try to understand the perspectives of different stakeholders, specifically those three: the workers, the requesters, and the platform, and how all of these important stakeholders can win by new systems, by designing new systems. Another approach that we use in this research is value-sensitive design. So the premise of value-sensitive design is the design itself, the technology itself is not neutral. It comes with specific values and goals. And sometimes these values can be conflicting. And to be successful in design, to be effective in design of new technologies, new intervention, we need to really understand the perspectives, the interest, and the goals of different stakeholders. So we are trying to engage in three recursive types of investigation. Empirical investigation, which looks at important interest and important needs of different stakeholders, in this case, these three. And then coming up with conceptual investigation that extrapolate from that empirical investigation, also integrates the current literature, because we already know a lot about Amazon Mechanical Turk. And then coming up with designing new systems that can be also evaluated, and again, that result can be fed back to empirical investigation. A very important aspect of our intervention is the notion of a platform cooperative. Platform cooperatives are not anything new, but the way that we are looking at platform cooperative is not a replacement of the current platform, but something that can work in tandem with the top-down approaches, the top-down mechanism of Amazon Mechanical Turk, and creating a more balanced ecosystem for all of these parties. So the top-down approach mechanism that is used by the platform organizer, in this case Amazon, is different forms of algorithmic management. that again manages the relationship between workers and requesters. We are trying to use platform cooperative as a way to create our own agenda bottom up and help workers and other parties to share knowledge, to socialize and collaborate better. So this is an example of a feature that we are trying to institute. This is from the work of Saiph Savage, Intelligent Data Broker, which is basically an intelligent system fueled by machine learning that learns from the practices of more successful, more effective workers, and in a way provides mechanism to transfer those best practices to other workers, to understand how you can get paid better on these platforms, and what are the skills that you need to nurture to be more successful on these platforms. So this was an overview of our current thinking. Looking forward to hearing your questions and comments. Thank you so much.